Let me thank my colleague from California for yielding, and thank him and the members of the Education and Labor Committee for their work on this bill. Let me also say it's nice to see the chairman of the Education and Labor Committee here, formerly the ranking member during the 5 years that he and I worked together. And during those 5 years, this bill went nowhere. And it went nowhere for a very good reason. Over the last 75 years, the federal government, state governments, and the National Labor Relations Board have provided law and case history to try to bring balance between the interest of employers and the interest of the unions. And you go down through this long history, there's a very tumultuous history. But throughout this history, the challenge was to bring balance for workers and their employers. Over the last 25 years, there's no issue I've spent more time on during my political career than working with the employer community and the employee community, mostly represented by the labor movement. My goal throughout this last 25 years has been to maintain this balance that I think works for employers and their employees. And what we have here today is trying to upset that balance, taking away the secret ballot election from workers in order to make their choice whether they want to be represented or not. It's almost beyond my imagination that this bill is on the floor of the United States House of Representatives, taking away the secret ballot election. Think about this for a moment. Think about the 2008 election day, and here we are. You don't get to go into a voting booth and vote for who you want to be president in the 2008 election. You don't get to go and decide in a secret ballot who you want your member of Congress be. You have to show up at a town hall meeting, raise your hand as to who you're going to vote for. Let your neighbors know, let your opponents know, let your employers know how you're going to cast your vote for president or for their member of Congress. I don't think that's what the American people expect of us. Instead of looking up at the voting booth, you're going to be standing up in front of God and everyone and telling everyone publicly how you voted. That's not what we want of workers. Think about this for a moment. On average, this is a 1990 federal court decision found, and I'll quote, on average, 18% of those who sign authorization cards do not want to join the union. They sign because they want to mollify their friends who are soliciting, because they think the cards will get them their dues waived in the event that the union shall prevail, end quote. There was an earlier study by the National Labor Relations Board. It found that in cases where unions had cards signed by 30 to 50% of the employees, unions only won 19% of those elections. Or, even when unions had cards signed by 50 to 70% of the workers, they won less than half of those elections. Let's talk about what this really is all about. This bill today is not about protecting American workers. It's about upsetting the balance between labor and management. But the real issue here is not taking care of workers, it's taking care of union bosses. We all know what's happening to the union movement in America. They represent about 8% of the private sector employees in the country, and that number has been dropping precipitously. This is an effort to help them get more members, to make it easier for them to sign them up, and to intimidate them to sign cards, and so there is no secret ballot elections. And whether they want to join a union or not, they're going to be forced to do it. That's not the American way. My colleague from California, the sponsor of this bill, knows full well what this bill does and who it's meant to take care of and who it's meant to pay back to. It's not the American way, and that's not what should be happening in the people's house. We, as members of Congress, have a responsibility to do what we think is right on behalf of the American people. And I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do today. I'm going to stand up and stand tall, and I'm going to vote for every American worker and protect their right to have a secret ballot. Now I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from California.